What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. They got the lag fest resolved this morning, and the update is in full swing here for DD2. Now, Chaos 9 is a thing now, so when you're popping into Chaos 9, you see the enemies that will be present. You've got some familiar faces here. One thing you remember, or two things remember you're missing, which is very, very nice for Chaos 9, is there are no cyborgs and there are no EMP kobolds, meaning that you can safely use your favorite aura builds or trap builds or your favorite tower builds to get the job done. The new Chaos enemy, the Elder Wyvern, they may no longer be able to fly, but these wyverns can empower nearby enemies, granting them resistance to damage and status effects. Now, this means that any enemies around the Elder Wyvern is going to get 100% tenacity, making them completely immune to crowd control. In addition, they are getting a damage reduction as well, making them quite a bit tankier. So you combine these two things, and some of the metas that we've been doing over the years with crowd control is no longer going to be as effective as they used to be. Sadly, this new enemy is the first Chaos enemy in Dungeon Defenders 2 that does not have a strategic counter. There's not a stun that will affect them. There's not a reflect beam to reflect their projectiles. There's not tenacity or automation to counter their trap stun. There's no counter at all. The counter to the Elder Wyvern is kill it faster and pay attention to it. So, sadly, that means that a lot of the strategic value to the game is gone, and it turns into a brute force spawn camp. What's the most effective way to deal with the Elder Wyvern? Get it out of the way right away, so get your spawn camp going. This means stacking damage right at the spawn is the way to go. Now, of course, we all know that 180 DU is the amount of DU that's usable on every single map. So if we go with something like this, 2 Flame Auras, 2 Fissures of Embermount, get that Oil Geyser in for the Ignite combo, and then a Boost Aura, and you have spent your 180 DU. Now, anytime you're in a position to improve on that, of course, you can do something like this and throw a Boost Aura in on top of it, if I would have placed these better. Or pardon me, a buff beam in on top of it if I would have only placed those better. So, depending on how much DU you have available, this is a 220 DU build that will just raffle stomp. Now, Chaos 9 is definitely a bit of a gear check for many, and it will cause a little bit of frustration. People are going to have to pay attention a bit more. Let's hop into one of my favorite grinder maps of late, the forest biome, and give it a whirl here using that 180 DU build that we just showcased there. Now, this particular map has tons of extra DU available, so we could always throw the buff beam in as well. However, I kind of wanted to just get the basic 180 out there, so we're just going to use that 180 on this one. Now, throwing the buff beam in, of course, would be a no-brainer. Now, you've got yourself a decent set of gear put together, right? You're still struggling with Chaos 9. What is the thing to do? Now, no matter what your build is, if you're using towers, if you're using traps and auras, whatever you're doing, I got one simple answer, and that is move the stuff closer to spawn. If you've got the gear and you've grinded it out in Chaos 8, you've got a couple of pieces upgraded maybe, and you've got the gear with the anti or diverse mod setups, and you feel like you should be winning, go closer to the spawn and see if that makes a change for you. So let's go ahead and build it out. Taking a quick look through, we've got a Flame Aura, Chaos 9, which is available in Chaos 8, by the way, with controller defense rate anti-melee, using deadly strikes, mass destruction, and destruction. Now, I like the big boy range. If you don't mind going with smaller, you can always get more power by not using deadly strikes here. Additionally, I'm using this Chaos 8 Boost Aura. What else are we going to do? We're going to throw this oil geyser in. Chaos 7 piece, but it's there just for the destructive pylon and oil enemies for the ignite. And then we're not going to use a boost star here, but if we did, we'd go with that one. Now, on this map, I'll probably throw down a couple of sky guards. This is not ideal for sky guards, of course, with anti-melee on there. However, it's just a Chaos 9 relic that I had, so I threw it in. But let's go ahead and get our 180 DU setup going. We're going to go with 2 flame auras all the way up to the spawn. We are going to get our fissures of Ember Mount in there. Oop, forgot to show those off. Here is what I'm using here. Anti-melee, anti-chaos, and defense rate with the double stack and deadly strikes. Get your fissures in there. We're going to get our destructive pylon in to get some ignites off. And then we're going to throw in a boost star to boost it all up. So let's do that same 180 DU build on every lane here and see what we come up with here. Let's see. Now, another thing you're going to notice right away is you get a really nice gain in power by upgrading. And we were able to get relatively lazy in some cases in Chaos 8 and not bother with upgrades. Upgrades are going to be a massive, noticeable improvement for you here in Chaos 9. So get your upgrades in and spend that mana. Let's go ahead and come on over to this lane. We'll keep rinsing and repeating, doing the same thing. The main thing I'm doing here is I am keeping the spawn covered. So once again, if you've got the gear and you feel like you should be winning the matches, move it all closer to the spawn, because right now we've got a brute force spawn camp meta, which is back in play. Now, I do love the fact that there's no EMP kobolds and no cyborgs, giving you the freedom of being able to use whatever defenses you want. However, you guys know I do love those traps, auras, and nodes, so it's kind of, I'm really stoked to be able to be using them again. There's no doubt there. So let's go ahead and get the same thing in here, and then just for good measure, we'll throw in a couple of sky guards. Let's just throw one, say, right here, and we'll throw another one. Let's see, I got the big boy range on my sky guards, so we'll just drop it in. Where do we even want it? Let's just throw it up here. Let's drop a Skyguard right there. Now, as you see, there's tons of DU left, which would give you the option to throw down those buff beams on every lane to do whatever you want. Now, as I mentioned, you're going to get huge upgrade value for putting some upgrades in. Your fissures are actually going to gain more power at Tier 5 than you're going to have with your auras, so you definitely want to prioritize those. This is kind of the toughest lane right here, so I'm going to upgrade that. I've got 3 more upgrades left. And what do we want to do? I think I'll just do 1 Flame Aura on each lane. Or you know what? Let's go 1 Fissure on each lane. And, you know, going to try to get the Flame Auras and the Fissures fully jacked up. And then, what's the other deal? Well, you know, with the new enemy coming out, there is a ton of Zerkers as well. And the Zerkers, of course, that get the buff from the new enemy are going to be a pain in your butt. So, kick back, relax, and wait for the inevitable Berserker to run through your setup. Now, you're not actively engaged, you're still just kind of chillaxing and seeing how things are going. Make sure you are giving yourself that opportunity where you're going to be able to get to a Berserker right away if a Berserker gets by. Here we had a couple of Elder Wyverns get through. We're going to put the smackdown on them. Looks like we've got a Zerker running our way up here. Now, once we get a few upgrades in, this is not going to really be an issue, as these mobs are going to die. But prior to getting those upgrades in, we are going to have to put a little bit of work in here. You see the enemies are really smacked down. They're really, really low health. So the enemies that do make it through are relatively easy to take out. You just got to go and deliver the final killing blows there. Now, if we had those buff beams down, these enemies would not be making it through. Additionally, remember, assassins are assassins, right? So one of the easiest assassin counters for you is going to be to use your good old Autumn Meow, or any cat. I just love the Autumn Meow. So use any cat with Sparkle Party, and it will help you out with those assassins quite a bit. Now, this lane is going to be my strong lane where I'm DPSing, so I'm going to dump all of the mana into these other lanes where I don't have to worry about them as much. Now, as we get upgrades in here, of course, we are going to have less and less instances of enemies running through. So let's just get some upgrades thrown around. Not really taking them up evenly, just kind of spreading them out and getting upgrades in place. So upgrades for the win. Now we've got another flyer lane over here that we're going to basically ignore. So let's just go ahead and throw an upgrade on that Sky Guard. We'll get upgrades on one upgrade on the rest of the stuff, and that leaves me 50. I'll just hold on to it until next wave. And let's let it fly this wave and see what we can do. Now remember, additionally, if you're having Zerkers that push through, you're going to have bosses that push through as well. So every boss is going to need a little bit of your attention, and then remember, if it's a ranged mob, like say, you know, a Hex Thrower or a Cannon Ogre, then Reflect Beams at the core will save the day for you, no doubt. But let's go ahead and just chillax it out, see how things run now that we've got a few upgrades in. You see the dragons are dying, but they're not dying to the very end, so another round of ups will take care of that. And it is, it's definitely a gear check. C9 is a gear check. The incursions alone will leave you scratching your head for a moment. Embermouth, the new boss. It took me 5 tries to get the new boss down for the first time. It was not pretty. So a little bit of a gear check there with the boss as well. You can't just stroll in with suboptimal builds and get the job done. Now, of course, in group play, you know, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge as far as the health, but then you're going to have multiple folks getting damage in there. We've got us a Siege Roller here, and you see the health on the Siege Roller is not ridiculous or anything. It's right on par with what you'd find in the 300s in Onslaught mode. So, yeah, not too terrible to deal with them. And a Nuke Monk is still able to blast through all of those boss mods without any problem. Or boss mobs, I should say. So we got 750 left. Let's go ahead and head back over to this lane, since this is a strong lane that we're going to ignore. And let's just go with a round of upgrades on the Flamars and those Fishers. Get a little something down in here. Now you saw this wave, after just the 1 or 2 rounds of upgrades there, nothing made it through. So we're getting stronger and stronger and being able to hold the pack at the door here. The more upgrades we get into place. So we're out of juice. Let's let it fly and see how it's doing. Now we're going to have assassins coming now. Since you have extra DU, remember you could always like give yourself a little assassin removal. I actually don't have any mana to put one down. If you've got the extra GU, just throw in a proton beam with the freezing shard on it wherever you're going to be standing. Can really save the day for you with those assassins. If you're just running around the map and you're not on a barbarian, you can probably plan on taking a couple deaths there. So as long as your build is holding out through it, you will be fine, but you will have to just keep that spawn camp flowing. So, like I said, if you've got the gear and you feel like you should be able to beat it with the gear that you have, because you've put some effort in, you've got the correct mods, you've got some gilded shards, if you're still not beating Chaos 9 Expeditions, then just move your stuff closer to spawn. We're going to have to get a little bit of healing here. Even with that 2.5 million HP, everything hits real hard. I guess I could use that Autumn Meow I keep talking about. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a little assassin removal. We'll just smack it right there. And then I think we're going to be good for the rest of this. But I'm not going to take anything for granted. I'm still going to spam some upgrades in and get this mana spent. Making sure that we've got as much power as we can come up with there. So I'm hoping they make some sort of change. I feel like the removal of effective crowd control in the tier, I think it takes away a lot of creative decisions when you're making your build. One of the beautiful things about elemental combos in Dungeon Defenders 2, are they extremely powerful? Yeah, they're extremely powerful, but the game is designed around them. It brings a lot of diversity, Do you want to do tower setups? Do you want to do proton beam setups? Do you want to do a water aura and EAC setup? There's tons and tons of options for elemental combos in Dungeon Defenders 2, and they're just not as effective in Chaos 9, which makes it kind of, as far as grinding the expeditions go, it's just straight up a brute force spawn camp. Really nothing else I can say about it. It is what it is. Let's get these guys smacked down, because they are not going to make it. We're going to have an assassin on us, so let's bring those over to our aura stack, and then we'll auto meow those guys right off. Let's get over here to our proton beam. Get that instant assassin removal is quite nice, that is for sure. Now we got wave 5 coming. Of course, we're going to have the 3 bosses. You know, Dungeon Defenders 2 has always been a game of stare at the minimap, and it is just more so now. So there's going to be a lot of watching to see what dips through. It's probably going to be a berserker in most cases. No doubt there. And you see we're putting out a nice bit of Fisher damage now. And we're getting there on our Flame Auras last wave, though, so we won't be able to fully maximize that. But, yeah, looking good. Let's just go ahead and let it fly once again, and continue to burn them off. Now, I really wish that Water Aura would stack up with the Flame Aura, so we could do a build like this with all Auras. But, I mean, the Fisher's cool. I don't have a complaint with busting my Lavamancer back out. I used to use them quite frequently. Back in the old Onslaught climb days, but nowadays my Lavamancer has not gotten much use except for that oil geyser, so it's nice to be able to bring the Lavamancer back in and let these Fishers be glorious. They've always been glorious, but they always haven't been so dang go-to like they are now with the spawn camp power stack that we're throwing down right in front of them. Is that guy dead? Yeah. Assassin died. Alright, we got us a Cannon Ogre. Here's where I was talking about. If you get a ranged mob and he gets close to your core, he's going to kill it. So a Reflect Beam at the core is just glorious. Now, are we going to be able to get this guy? It's a little bit of a close call. We got him down. It was a little bit ugly, but we got the job done there. We got one more assassin. Let's bring this assassin up to the aura stack, and we'll get a little oil on him. And the assassin is down. So there is Chaos 9 Expeditions. It's a start, you know. I'm sure there will be lots of fine-tuned builds that come out over the course of the upcoming weeks. However, it's only natural with the information that's given to us just to go right in for the spawn camp. So we got us a golden ingot. Let's see, is it going to take Chaos 9 to get our first 10 out of 10 mod out of the special chest? Let's go check it out. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I've lost all optimism for this damn chest, but here I go, still running up the ramp here to check it every time I see that golden ingot. And what do we have? We've got a medium chip and a nice defense rate servo. But that is going to do it for now. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the update. Now that the lag is fixed, it's a lot more playable for many players. Still a little bit there. US West was a little sketchy for me this morning. I swapped over to US East and it appeared to be running fine. But anyway, that will get it for now. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.